Hello, and welcome back. I want to start today by talking about something deeply human, the desire for connection, for companionship, for that spark of joy that comes from sharing your life with someone special. As we age, especially if we've lost a partner or are divorced, that desire doesn't fade. In fact, for many of us, it grows stronger. It's a wonderful thing to seek out love and happiness at any age, and modern dating apps and social media have made it possible to meet people you never would have otherwise. But unfortunately, where there is genuine human desire, there are criminals looking to exploit it. I'm talking about romance scams, or what some people call catfishing. This is one of the most heartbreaking forms of financial fraud because it doesn't just steal your money, it steals your trust and dignity. And sadly, our age group, people over 60, is targeted more aggressively than almost any other because the scammers know we may have stable savings, and perhaps, a deeper need for companionship. I want to share a story with you right now, and I'm sharing it not to scare you, but to help you understand just how easily a good, smart person can fall for this. It's a true story about my own dear Aunt Carol. She was a brilliant, independent woman, recently widowed, who was looking for a fresh start. She met David online. David claimed to be a handsome petroleum engineer working overseas, a perfect, romantic story. He was charming, he was attentive, and he called her my love multiple times a day. After just 2 months of this intense communication, David said he had an emergency, a sudden, terrible workplace accident, and he needed $5,000 immediately to cover hospital fees or he would die. My aunt, driven by genuine love and panic, withdrew money from her savings and sent it via a wire transfer. David disappeared immediately. It cost her money, but worse, it cost her trust in humanity. We are going to use stories like my aunt's as our shield today. In this video, we're going to cover the 6 natural reasons seniors fall for romance scams and, most importantly, the simple, practical steps you can take to protect your heart and your bank account. We will break down the precise tactics they use so you can spot a fake profile in minutes. Let's dive into the first 2 natural reasons these scams work so effectively, starting with the biggest one, the high cost of loneliness. Reason 1, the deep desire for lost connection. The first reason we are susceptible is simply the profound human need for intimacy and communication that often resurfaces after a spouse passes away or after a divorce. The scammer knows exactly how to fill that gap. They don't just send generic messages, they study your profile, they mirror your interests, and they become a perfect soulmate almost instantly. Think about your life right now. Maybe you miss having someone to share a cup of coffee with, to tell your funny story to, or someone who texts you good morning every day. The scammer weaponizes this desire. They are available 24/7. They bombard you with compliments, a technique called love bombing. This is not a reflection of your intelligence, it is a reflection of your humanity. When you receive that intense, immediate validation and attention, your brain releases those wonderful feel-good chemicals that make you trust them quickly. The scammers know this and they avoid real interaction. They almost never agree to a video call where they have to show their face, but they will send dozens of texts proclaiming their devotion. They create a fantasy partner who is always perfect, because they are not real. Their goal is speed. They need to create a false sense of deep, committed love in just a few weeks or months before the money request comes. If the connection feels too fast, too intense, or too perfect, please let that be your first internal red flag. Reason 2, the fear of bothering your children. The second reason is subtle, but incredibly powerful, the desire to maintain your independence, which often translates into the fear of bothering your children or family. Many seniors find new relationships and dating a private matter. Maybe you don't want your adult children to worry, or maybe you worry they will judge your choices or find the person you met online suspicious. So, you keep the relationship quiet. The scammer reinforces this isolation. They will often tell you, your children won't understand our special connection, or please don't tell anyone about our plan, it's just our little secret. This is a classic manipulation tactic designed to cut off your lifeline to reality. When you hide the relationship, you remove the most important external check, the loving but skeptical eye of a family member who might spot the warning signs you are too close to see. If your new online sweetheart insists on secrecy, especially about their financial struggles or their supposed background, alarm bells should be deafening. A person who loves and respects you will want you to share your life with the people you care about most. They certainly won't use your family as a reason to keep secrets. Now that we've talked about the emotional drivers, the search for connection, and the fear of isolation, we need to move into the actual tactics they use to extract money. Next, we'll look at the common professional stories they invent and the simple way you can quickly verify if they are real or just a fantasy. Next, we'll look at the common professional stories they invent and the simple way you can quickly verify if they are real or just a fantasy. Reason 3, the perfectly credible, but fake, backstory. The third reason these romance scams are so effective is the perfectly credible, but fake, backstory the scammers create. They understand that to earn your trust, they need a professional identity that explains why they can't meet you right now and why they might need financial help later. They almost always choose professions that require them to be overseas, isolated, or difficult to reach. Think military personnel on deployment, petroleum engineers on an offshore rig, doctors working for a humanitarian organization in a remote country, or wealthy business owners in an overseas investment deal. The profile photos they use are always stunning, handsome, rugged, or very sophisticated. They've often been stolen from a real person's social media. The scammer's story will be detailed, maybe even including a recent personal tragedy, like a deceased spouse or a sick child, which instantly pulls on your heartstrings. Here's your action item, your defense against this perfect backstory, the reverse image search strategy. This is the easiest, fastest way to expose a catfish. Before you get emotionally invested, take the profile picture they are using, the one that looks too good to be true, and run it through a reverse image search tool like Google Images or TinEye. If that picture is being used on dozens of different dating profiles, across multiple continents, all with different names, you have your answer. That picture belongs to a stock model or a real, unsuspecting person, and the profile talking to you is fake. This simple 5-minute check can save you tens of thousands of dollars and months of heartbreak. Remember, real people have real, slightly awkward, imperfect photos on their profiles, not professional glamour shots. Reason 4, they weaponize secrecy and urgency. The fourth major reason we fall victim is the scammer's expert use of two psychological tools, secrecy and urgency. We touched on this briefly, but it deserves a deeper look because this is where the money is stolen. Once the scammer has established that intense bond, the love bombing has worked, and you feel like this person is your soulmate, they transition the relationship off the safe dating platform. They want to move to email, text message, or an instant messaging app. They do this because the dating sites have algorithms and moderators that look for scammer language. Once they move you off platform, they are free to operate without oversight. This is your second major red flag, a sudden push to leave the platform. The urgency comes into play right before they ask for money. They never simply ask for money for a lavish vacation. Instead, they manufacture a crisis that requires your immediate, secret assistance. The engineer's equipment breaks and he needs a new part to get paid. The soldier's phone is confiscated and he needs money to pay a customs fee to fly home. Or, as in my aunt's case, a sudden, life-threatening emergency. The request is always personal, always urgent, and always tied to them being unable to access their own money because they are in a remote or dangerous location. The critical takeaway here is that a person who truly loves you will never put you in financial jeopardy. Never. They won't ask you to pay for their plane ticket, cover their business loss, or settle their supposed government fees. If you start hearing phrases like, "It's a secret between us," or "I promise I'll pay you back next week with interest," your inner warning lights should be flashing red. They are selling you a story, and the payment is due immediately. This leads us to the critical difference between real love and criminal manipulation. The focus shifts entirely from connection to cash. We need to explore the final phase of the scam, the heartbreaking excuses they use to avoid meeting you, and the psychological toll this takes on your health and well-being. We need to explore the final phase of the scam, the heartbreaking excuses they use to avoid meeting you, and the psychological toll this takes on your health and well-being. Reason 5. The eternal delay and the broken promise. The fifth reason these scams drag on and continue to inflict damage is the eternal delay and the broken promise. Once the first, second, or even third request for money has been successfully completed, the scammer knows they have a willing and emotionally invested victim. Now, the focus shifts to maintaining the illusion just long enough to extract more funds, usually under the guise of an imminent visit. They know you are desperate to finally meet the love of your life. They will set a date for their arrival. You might spend money preparing your home, buying a new outfit, or even booking a flight to meet them. But suddenly, days before they are due to arrive, a new, massive, and unexpected crisis occurs. This is often related to their travel. Customs confiscated my luggage and I need $8,000 to pay the fine to get released, or my flight was canceled due to a sudden medical emergency, and I need a new first-class ticket. The excuses are designed to be frustrating, yet completely outside of their control, thereby increasing your sympathy. The heartbreak here is profound. Not only do you lose more money, but the constant cycle of anticipation followed by crushing disappointment creates immense stress, anxiety, and deep loneliness, feelings that directly impact your physical health. If your online love has set 3 different meeting dates, and all 3 have resulted in a request for more money to solve the travel problem, you must accept that the person on the other end is a phantom. A real, loving partner would move heaven and earth to see you, or at least share the pain of the delay without asking you to fund their impossible problems. Your financial health and emotional peace are worth more than any impossible promise. Reason 6. The silent cost to your health and independence. This leads us to the final and perhaps most important reason we must talk about this, the silent cost to your health and independence. When you are a victim of a romance scam, the financial loss is terrible, but the stress and emotional betrayal have a direct, measurable impact on your body. Constant anxiety raises your blood pressure and cortisol levels, which can impact your heart health and immune system, 2 things we must vigilantly protect as we age. The betrayal also makes you isolate yourself further, damaging your independence and your connection to your real support system. So, how do you recover, and how do you build up your emotional defenses right now, before anything happens? Here are your action steps for emotional protection and recovery. Stop, block, and breathe. If you have even the slightest suspicion, you must immediately block the person on every platform and stop all communication. Then, take a deep breath. By stopping the communication, you immediately stop the stress and the financial bleeding. Talk to the skeptic. This is crucial. Before you send even $1, tell a family member or a trusted, skeptical friend the entire story. Ask them, if this were happening to someone else, what would you think? Their objective perspective is your strongest line of defense. Prioritize real connection. Do not let the pursuit of a fantasy partner consume your life. Invest your time and energy in real, local connections. Join a book club, volunteer, or participate in senior fitness classes. Genuine human connection, even platonic, is the only cure for loneliness. Remember the story of my Aunt Carol. She found the strength to forgive herself and move on because she realized the scammer didn't defeat her. The scammer exploited a very real, human need. You are strong, you are independent, and you deserve a true, honest connection. Small changes in your awareness, that 5-minute reverse image search, that one moment you hang up the phone, can make all the difference in protecting your retirement and your peace of mind. If you have lost money, please do not hide it out of shame. Immediately call your bank, report the crime to the police, and contact the Federal Trade Commission, FTC. Your recovery starts the moment you decide to speak up. Thank you for allowing me to share this incredibly personal and important message with you today. Your happiness and security are our greatest priority. If this video helped you, please hit the like button and share it with someone you care about. Your share could literally save someone from financial ruin and heartbreak. Tell us in the comments, what's your biggest rule for staying safe online? We can all learn from each other. Here's to living your best life, full of real, honest, and truly lasting connections. I'll see you next time.